This meeting is being.
All right. Hey, folks. Today is March 30th, 2022. This is the biweekly Cloud Provider SIG meeting. Yeah, let's just get started, and we'll go quickly into the. I'm actually thinking of skipping triage today, just because we just came out of 124 code freeze, and I'm sure we should optimize our headspace for thinking about that. So I'm going to skip triage. But yeah, let's go straight into the sub-project updates quickly. I see AWS has the first one about cutting the 124 release.
Yeah, cutting that release. We also merged another controller. It's a tagging controller that helps with cost allocation in AWS. So it'll add a custom tag to nodes, basically.
Awesome. Okay. Azure update on 123.8.
Yep, we got that. Just some bug fixes out, and of course, anticipating 1.24. I imagine we'll get the release out or the alpha out for that ourselves too soon. And I just wanted to tell Nick that tagging controller, which helps with cost allocation, is super cool. So you should be proud of that. It's very cool.
Thanks. Awesome.
Yep, agreed. Okay, I see no updates for IBM. I'm going to skip extraction migration because I think we'll talk a lot about those items on the 124 status in the agenda. So yeah, I'll go straight to the agenda. So yeah, I wanted to just gather a quick list of any PRs that are in the merge queue and in the milestone that is just waiting for the bot to merge, as well as PRs that we might need to file an exception for, and also just calling out PRs that we did merge that we want to just call out and celebrate. So we'll start with the first list here. Okay, yeah, so I added this one. This is the service controller bug where the retried services are getting cached and not updated correctly. So I actually approved this and put it in the milestone. So I think it's good to merge. I don't think you need to put an exception because it was merged yesterday, or it was approved yesterday. But it would be good to get like a second opinion on this. So if someone in the SIG wants to review this PR and just double check that it's reasonable, that'd be great. Because the logic here is a bit like the bug is very subtle. So I do worry that we could be introducing like some other bugs. But yeah, it'd be good to get a second eye on this one. Was that it for PRs that are already approved and needs to merge?
We had a couple for the leader migration that they're all approved and going to go in now, but the umbrella issue got kicked out of the milestone. So I just opened a 0-day exception for that just to get it back in.
Okay.
I'm not so worried about it.
The PR, okay. If the PR is approved and in the milestone at this point, it should be fine, right?
Well, the umbrella issue got kicked out. So I figured it'd be better just to be transparent about it, but it's a 0-day exception with no future changes coming. So hopefully they'll just approve it. We'll put the umbrella back and it'll be done.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be fine. I had a comment here, but I don't know if it could probably be a follow-up.
Yeah, we'll probably do that as a follow-up. I didn't see that.
Okay.
Thanks for your help,
Right. No worries. PRs that didn't make it and we want exceptions for. So these two are related, right?
Yeah, so the first one I think is reasonable for an exception. The second one I just wanted to bring up, but I don't think we should go for an exception unless anyone else thinks we should. But the first one is just removing the deprecated insecure serving. We talked about this. I think we agreed that we should do it. So I think it's relatively straightforward, and I think the only sort of caveat is removing flags that people might be using, but the same thing happened in Kube Controller Manager and all the other components. So I don't think it's unexpected necessarily. So yeah, I think that one's reasonable to merge if others agree. We would just need to, I guess, add it to the milestone and ask for an exception.
I believe the deprecation notice has been out for 4 years now. So I think on that front, we're more than adequately covered, and this is a security issue. And in today's time frames, I think it would make sense to just do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you secure something and that breaks something, then the something was something people shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So I agree with that premise, but I also think that the release team, like they might not consider like a removal of an already deprecated thing for 4 years, like release blocking. Like I don't object to filing the exception, but I think the release team might push back. So something to keep in mind.
I think Walter's argument about security is a good thing to throw in there to that end.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds good. So for this one, Nick, you're gonna file an exception. Then
yeah, and this one, I don't think I should file an exception for this one. I think we didn't get far enough with reviews. I have too many changes that are in flight. So I don't think the release team is going to go for the impact of the schedule that is a good enough reason to make it release blocking. If anyone disagrees with that, let me know. I mean, we can try, but I doubt that it's going to fly.
It's fair. So I have an odd thought, and I'm not sure we can do it, but the biggest reason why I don't like the fact that we didn't get this in isn't because I necessarily wanted it in this upcoming release, but just because of the number of releases it's going to take to get this to GA. Right? If we do alpha, beta, and GA, we're now talking about that being pushed out by 4 releases, which is at the current release schedule well over a year out.
Right.
So the one thing that would be interesting, and I don't know if we can do, is seeing if we could skip the alpha and just take it straight to beta, not in the release, this release we're pushing out, but in the following release, so that we get back onto schedule.
Okay.
If we plan on skipping alpha, then wouldn't asking for an exception for alpha for this time essentially do the same thing?
Except
with maybe
that
more transparency.
It would, but the problem is that to even be able to ask for a release, an exception to checking it into this release, we'd have to be code complete. And to Nick's point, we're probably still a couple of days out from being code complete, assuming that that Nick even has time to work on it right now.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I'm not saying that we'll be allowed to go to straight to beta next time. I just think that we can ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or like at the very least, the quality of the feature should be beta standard, and worst case scenario, we go alpha 1 release and we'll be really confident to go beta immediately after.
Yeah. I think either way, we get it in early in the next cycle.
Any other PRs that we want to call out that didn't make it? Okay. So this one merged. I know folks were talking about this one a lot. Thanks for all the PR reviews and all the iterations, but I'm pretty happy with this PR where it landed, and looks good to go. The kubelet credential provider went beta. This landed, and there were some other PRs to add B2B tests and whatnot. I think that's it. Is there anything else? Okay. All right, then let's go to the next agenda item. So I added this like a week ago. Someone was asking for a cloud provider feature to let the provider implementations specify a load balancer class. Let me go to a diff that shows. So they want service controller to accept the list of classes that they use when reconciling services. So the context is that in like several releases ago, we or I had proposed to add a field called load balancer class to services. So it's like a lot of other class constructs we have, except it's specifically for service at load balancers. So if you set the class, the default behavior for the cloud provider is to then ignore that load balancer and let an external controller reconcile that load balancer, which is just replacing a lot of like existing functionality that people already have using annotation. So just kind of a more like API driven way to do that, or more like native way to do that. But there's an argument to make that the actual default provider implementation should also be able to watch against the list of known classes and accept update events for those classes if they opt in. And so basically, I think what it would look like is we update the load balancer interface to have like a load balancer class method that returns a list of allowed classes, and by default it would return no classes, which is the current behavior. So I wanted, since that's an API change in the interface, I wanted to bring it up here and see if folks have opinions about that.
I think your reasoning in the comment there is really strong. Like having it as an actual API interface as opposed to a command line flag is definitely more friendly to people who have to redeploy these things.
Yep, makes sense. The caveat, of course, is every time we add a method to the interface that breaks that, it's going to break compiling for all the providers because they have to implement the new method. But I imagine like this one's pretty, it's like just one method. So I think it's worth doing, but I don't know. But we don't have to decide right now. We can let it bake for a little bit and come back to it next week. I think that's it for the agenda. Did anyone else want to add anything last minute? All right, otherwise give everyone 40 minutes back. Yeah, if anything comes up for 124, exception requests or bugs or anything, please let me know. I'm happy to help review and whatnot.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew.
Sounds good. Thank you, Andrew.
Cool. Bye.
Bye, folks.